Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and bear with me today if you couldn't hear, I'm a bit under the weather, but the show must go on, and I am talking about law enforcement using an artificial intelligence that could end privacy as we know it, and I think this is probably one of the most terrifying videos that I have made. And for the record, I am not actually talking about Ring doorbell here. I've done a lot of videos and writing on all of that. This is turning it up to 11 comparatively. So this is actually coming from a New York Times article entitled "The Secretive Company That Might End Privacy as We Know It." Now, basically, this company has, and I'm going to quote the New York Times here, a tool that could end your ability to walk down the street anonymously, and provided it to hundreds of law enforcement agencies ranging from local cops in Florida to the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the company I'm talking about is Clearview AI, and they devised a groundbreaking facial recognition app. So basically, you take a picture of a person, upload it, and get to see the public photos of that person along with links to where those photos appear. The systems whose backbone is a database of more than 3 billion images that Clearview claims to have scraped from Facebook, YouTube, Venmo, and millions of other websites goes way beyond anything ever constructed by the United States government or even the giants in Silicon Valley. Federal and state law enforcement officers said that while they had only limited knowledge of how Clearview works and who was behind it, they had used this app to help solve shoplifting, identity theft, credit card fraud, murder, and sexual exploitation cases. Now, without public scrutiny, more than 600 law enforcement agencies have started using Clearview in the past year. This is according to Clearview, which basically declined to provide a list of which agencies did that or were using it to the New York Times. Now, the computer code underlying this app, which was analyzed by the New York Times, includes programming language to pair it with augmented reality glasses, meaning users could potentially be able to identify every person they saw. You slap on some glasses, basically it sees somebody walking towards you, and then it searches this database they've compiled of billions of images from Facebook, etc., and instantly pairs that person. So much for privacy. Now, Clearview is not just for law enforcement. They've also licensed the app to at least a handful of companies for security purposes. Now, until now, technology that readily identifies everybody based on his or her face has basically been taboo because of its just insane erosion of privacy. Tech companies capable of releasing a tool like this have been refrained from doing so. So, for example, Facebook could be using this internally, something along these lines, but they've never released it to the public to say, hey, user, go ahead and do this yourself. And if you recall, I actually did a video, I want to say a month or two ago, about Facebook piloting this exact thing a couple of years ago, and then actually scrapping it. They were doing it internally to their employees so that one employee could instantly identify another person. That was obviously and clearly a beta test to see how they could hone that and to push it out. And so Facebook didn't do it, but this small little company, which I believe is out of Australia, actually has. And because Facebook and all of them let everybody get their hooks into the back and start scraping information and data, not to mention the millions and millions of people that don't know anything about security on social media platforms that turn everything public, here we are. Now, for example, if we were looking at Silicon Valley in 2011, on top of what I just told you about Facebook, Google's chairman at the time said that it was one technology the company had held back because it could be used, and I quote, in a very bad way. And here we are. And this is just one step further into, I think, the non-awareness of the public in when they are uploading their images, pictures, and personal information into a social media platform. People are scraping these things. Facebook has let everybody in. And when I see individuals on Facebook posting very, let's say, I don't want to say disturbing, but very personal or intimate things such as medical procedures they've had or diagnosis, or even just pictures, understand that's being scraped, that's being taken. Your children are in a database like this, and it's not sitting here in the United States, or odds are in the country that you're in if you're not in Australia, per Clearview AI. This is what we're dealing with. And as we continue to turn into a surveillance state where we have cameras everywhere, we are enabling facial recognition, and some cities are fighting back, like San Francisco just banned facial recognition technology use for its police department. This will continue to explode. Now, I understand by virtue of, let's say, me having a public presence, you guys watching these videos probably on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever that is, I'm already out there, I'm already exposed, but would my kids have to be? Would my family have to be? Would anything else have to be in my life? And that's the question that I think we have to ask ourselves. In a world that is data-driven, in a world where we are collecting information, or rather we are putting information out there, assuming it's private when it's not, that information is being collected and it's being used in various ways. Law enforcement, at least 600 agencies of various small to huge in the United States, can now instantly identify you simply by a picture. Is that good or is that bad? Not to mention false positives in facial recognition. Once again, I look like Penn Jillette. I get it all the time. Half the time when I'm walking through an airport, somebody asks me if I'm a famous chef. I couldn't tell you who that chef is, but I get these questions. Now, facial recognition, I would hope, would be able to discern me from Penn Jillette, but you never know. And you don't know how accurate it is, and here we are. And we've seen several law enforcement agencies basically arrest people on false assumptions, on false positives. So this is your news of the day. I think it's a little scary, and this company apparently has no qualms whatsoever, even when Google, who is one of the biggest data miners on the planet, and Facebook, who is one of the biggest data miners on the planet, and lets everybody into their back end, has said, you know what? We're not going to do this because, quite frankly, this could be used for malfeasance. This would be a bad thing. And that's a very hard thing for Facebook to do when they will run fake political ads, or rather allow fake political ads to be run on their platform. So I think this is a huge, huge problem. And I think this is the tip of the iceberg. And nobody is regulating this. Nobody is checking to make sure that this is actually legal because, quite frankly, at least here in the United States, our data privacy laws and our data laws in general are way behind the times. You know, we're finally seeing things like the CCPA, but that only applies to one state out of 49. And so these are the things we have to talk about. These are the things we have to discuss. And quite frankly, I don't know much about Clearview AI, but I'm fairly certain that local law enforcement around me probably has that. And is that really a good thing? So take that for what it's worth. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but this is your news of the day. And thanks for bearing with my flu here. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, where you'll probably be data scraped and in this database. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.